Hey everyone! I just finished my decluttering series, as you all know, so I wanted to go ahead and make this video and kind of tell you about what I've learned. I came up with 20 different tips for you on how to declutter. If you are starting to declutter for the first time, or if you are just kind of already been decluttering but you want a few more tips, I got you. Let's go ahead and get into it. Tip number 1. Make sure you are decluttering for the right reasons. And what I mean by this is don't do it because you are seeing other people do it or you want to have some aesthetic lifestyle or whatever, because then you're just not going to enjoy it. It's not going to be something that is easy to do for you. And with that being said, don't do it if you aren't truly ready to do it. You could be going through something in your life, some sort of phase, something tragic happening, and it might just not be the right time for you mentally. So I would say to hold off until all things are settled and you can put more of your effort into it. Tip number 2 is to plan it out. I think it's good to have not like a strict schedule, but an idea of how you want to go about decluttering. When are you going to start? For how long? And just simple things like that. Tip number 3, give yourself a goal. Give yourself something to work for. If your goal is to have that one corner of your office be the least cluttered space because it's always been the most cluttered space, then that's your goal. Tip number 4, do it in sections. This is so important because once you start and it gets messy, there's no way around it. You gotta go through it now at this point. You gotta just dive into the fucking deep end at this point, okay? So I would say do it in sections, phases, categories. For me, I did clothes, shoes, accessories, bathroom and products, kitchen, miscellaneous stuff, office, and digital. And if you want to learn more about how I went about that, then you can check out those videos. But I think doing it in sections is the most crucial thing because it is so easy for it to get even more messy and cluttered everywhere. Tip number 5, put everything into one pile. If you ever seen Marie Kondo, she's the queen of tidying up, and she always says to put everything into one pile so that you can see everything that you own. And your clothes into one pile, put everything from your kitchen into one pile. Once you see it out, it starts to give you a little bit of a different perspective. It might make you think like, wow, I do not need this many things. Tip number 6, keep track of your progress. So I wrote down in my notebook, because I'm also a very crazy planning lady, but I wrote down everything in my notebook, every category. Obviously not some things like products or like glassware or whatever, but for my clothes especially and my shoes, I wrote down specifically how many long sleeves I had, how many t-shirts I had, how many shorts, how many shoes I had, because I just wanted to keep track of how much I've gotten rid of. I didn't give myself like a number goal, but I just wanted to see from the first time how much I would get rid of, and it was really cool to look back on. It also just gives me an insight on what I have in my inventory, you know what I mean? You can do this in many different ways. You can write out the numbers like I did. You can just take pictures, simply take pictures of that specific area, take a picture after, and there you go. Just keep track in some way just so you can physically see how far you've come. Tip number 7, make piles of what you want to donate, sell, and throw out. There can be so many other people that are in need of the things that you don't need anymore, and definitely giving it away to donation or maybe even reselling it and simply giving it to a family member or a friend. I mean, anything helps, I feel like. You know what I mean? Tip number 8, put what you're giving away into trash bags or boxes. Don't leave them out in a pile. Don't leave them out in the open in your living room. Just put them in a bag or a box and deal with them when you're getting rid of them. Because if you have them out, you're going to be tempted to want to reconsider. And if you got rid of it the first time, it's time to say goodbye for real. Let it go. We're not going back. We're not going back. That also brings me to tip number 9 because they kind of correlate together. What I felt really helpful in decluttering my clothes especially is to not think too hard when deciding. I used my gut instinct once it started getting harder for me to decide, If it wasn't a fast yes, a quick yes, I was like, no, gotta go. I mean, there were times where I literally would see this dress or whatever and I'd be like,
but maybe if I...
And then I was like,
this is a sign already to not keep it.
So I got rid of it, and I don't even remember what piece it was. I don't even miss it. Should I give it a shot? I don't even think I'm an overall type person. Like, I don't think that's in any way a part of my style or anything that I would choose to wear. But at the same time, I want to try. No. See, that's the sign right there. Tip number 10, only declutter things that you are ready to let go of. I feel like there's this misconception about minimalism and decluttering in general. You don't have to own barely anything to be a minimalist. And if you aren't ready to get rid of something, but you probably consider it clutter yourself, but you're not ready to let go of it because it means something to you, sparks some sort of joy to you, you don't have to get rid of it. And this is something that I learned when I was decluttering my miscellaneous stuff, especially because there was so much random stuff that I was like, I really just don't need this. And somebody who's not obsessed with this thing like I am is probably gonna be like, that's kind of weird, Angeline, why do you have 50 planners? Not 50, like 5 planners from 2013 to 2020, you know what I mean? Like, it gives me joy, it like sparks some sort of nostalgic memory in me, and I'm gonna keep it because I don't have to compromise, and you don't either. So if you're not ready to let go, don't. Tip number 11, you could always make a maybe pile if needed, especially decluttering clothes. If there is something that you are like, I might actually put this to use, I just forgot I had it, but now that I know, I want to actually try to use it. Create a maybe pile. Take note of the things that you are putting in that pile and be intentional when the time comes and choose to use it. And if you decide later on, like, hey, I gave this another chance, but it's not working out, that maybe pile can be revisited maybe a couple months later, maybe even a month later, and you can just be like, you know what, I don't even know why I decided to keep this because I don't need it. Tip number 12, consider what brings you joy and value. This goes back to Marie Kondo's method. If it doesn't spark joy for you, let go of it. Like, don't hold on to things that bring back sad memories. You only want things around you that stimulate you, that make you feel good in life and make you feel happy, because I mean, we have one life. We shouldn't make ourselves miserable. Tip number 13, make it enjoyable. I like to put on a YouTube video. Usually other people decluttering is really nice to have them kind of decluttering with me in the background. So if you would like to use some YouTube videos, I have a couple. I'm just saying there's about like 8 decluttering videos, so just saying. I mean, you can even put on your favorite movie, a show, a podcast, or just jam to some music. And you can also do it with somebody else. Like, put your kids to work, or with a friend or your partner.
We're not getting rid of Hector. No, I'm keeping Hector.
Give me Hector. Like, just make it fun, you know? It's just... Tip number 14, don't rush the process. I know it can start getting tedious and then you start getting impatient, because trust me, that was me. I'm not a very patient person, but don't rush it. It is a journey in and of itself. Just because I've cluttered every area of my life doesn't mean I'm just this god now that just knows everything about decluttering and minimalism. It's a whole process. It's gonna take me a long time to become the person I want to be. And you know, this is just the start. Embrace the journey, embrace the obstacles, embrace how it feels, and just live in the moment and have a good time. Tip number 15, if it's kind of getting a little bit difficult for you, try to view your home like you're a first-time visitor. So it's kind of like shopping your own home. Like, if you walk in and you see certain things everywhere, just be like, hey, I like this decoration. I'm not a huge fan of this anymore. If I was shopping for my home, would I take these glasses? Would I take these plates? You know, whatever. Obviously, practicality is still, you know, you still need to keep things that are practical. I'm not gonna give away 17 of my forks. I don't have 17 forks, but like, I'm not gonna get rid of all my forks just because it doesn't spark me joy, you know? I mean, it's still practical. I still kind of need forks. Tip number 16, don't let yourself get too wrapped up in sentimental items. But also don't be too hard on yourself either. Sentimental items can be really hard to declutter because obviously they hold a special place in your heart, a special memory, and honestly, it can be hard knowing that maybe you want to let this go but aren't ready to yet. This goes back to don't let go if you're not ready yet. At least you know and you're aware of your feelings of this specific thing. Don't be too hard on yourself. Don't be like, I need to get rid of this because I just need to get rid of this. I need to declutter it. I know I should, whatever, but I just can't. If it's really that hard for you, don't do it. These are just some tips to keep in mind, but ultimately you make up the rules. It's up to you really, and you don't have to put yourself through the ringer to get rid of something. Tip number 17, stay on track of organizing and sorting. I cannot express to you how important this is because it gets so messy once you start taking everything out. Obviously it gets worse before it gets better, so you might as well stay on track of your organization in the midst of it, but also once you're cleaning everything up and putting everything away, kind of be a little bit more organized if you're that type of person. If you're not an organizational person, that is totally fine. I just suggest it because it makes it feel much more cleaner and more easily accessible, and I think it just kind of subconsciously triggers good feelings when you see something clean and organized. I get some people might not be that way, but for me, I cannot stand a mess. Staying on top of that is what really helped me, and it could really help you too if you gave it a try. We're almost done here. Tip number 18 is to start small. If it's your first time, start small. If it's been something you did but haven't for a while, start small. You can declutter one thing weekly, you can declutter for 5 minutes a day. There's so many different ways you can go about it. Like, you don't have to go ahead and just jump straight in, throw your entire closet into one pile and be like, dude, I gotta get this done today. You need baby steps, okay? Baby steps up. We don't want to shoot for the stars. We want to take little steps up, because when we fall down the steps, but when we shoot completely high, we fall straight back down. So, number 19, don't give yourself a number limit that's not realistic to your current situation. If I wanted to get rid of 12 pairs of shoes, but I know that I am a frequent hiker and...
Okay guys, I literally made no sense at all in this part, as you can see. And I'm very sorry. What I meant by not giving yourself a number limit is by not going into it being like, okay, I need to get rid of exactly 10 pairs of shoes, or I need to get down to 150 items of clothing. Instead, just do it and go with the flow, and whatever number you get to, you get to. And then the next time you can make a goal, but don't stress the number.
Anyways, you get what I'm saying. I'm tired. And for the last tip, tip number 20, make it a regular thing. I find it easy to fall out of routine. I mean, we're human, we fall in and out of things, and sometimes it's hard to keep up with life and situations that go on unexpectedly. Obviously, don't be too hard on yourself. Don't give yourself a specific day, specific times, whatever. Use all these tips that I gave you and try to make decluttering a regular thing. Don't do it once a year. Try to upkeep it as much as possible. Whatever fits into your schedule best, I say just do it. Like I said before, declutter one thing a week, declutter for 5 minutes. What I do personally is every month I digitally declutter. So I go through my phone, I go through my photos, my messages, my emails. And so every month I always start off fresh. Say you do like a weekly clean, or when you do your grocery shopping, you come back home and unpack and you just declutter something from the kitchen. You know, anything small. Just make it a regular thing, fit it into your schedule, and you're on track to just simply living clutter-free. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching. I know I am not an expert in minimalism or decluttering at all. This is simply just my tips from my own experience of decluttering myself, and I just think it could be really helpful for anybody else who is trying to start this journey or even has been on it and is looking for a couple of tips as well. I hope this helps somebody in the long run, even if it is one person. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you so much again for everything. I hope you all have a wonderful day and happy decluttering. See ya. Literally looking at so much clutter over here. This isn't even all my decluttering stuff, but this is a couple of my decluttering things and they're just all out. Honestly, don't have any other space and I really need to go through this. But hey, there's a sleeping copper over here.